A planet made of diamond. A planet where it rains glass sideways at 7,000 kilometers an hour. A planet currently being eaten alive by its own star. A planet that is the leftover skeleton of a star that used to exist. A planet covered in ice that is hot enough to melt iron. A planet so dark that if you stood on it, you would be blind without a flashlight. None of these are science fiction. All 6 are catalogued, confirmed, sitting in real astronomical databases right now. 40 light-years away, in the constellation Cancer, orbits a planet so close to its star that 1 year there lasts 18 hours. 55 Cancri E is twice the size of Earth and 8 times the mass. Its dayside temperature reaches 3,800 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough to melt iron, hot enough to melt almost anything. In 2012, a team at Yale modeled its likely interior and concluded something that made headlines worldwide. At least a third of the planet's mass, the equivalent of 3 entire Earths, could be solid diamond. Earth's interior is rich in oxygen and poor in carbon. 55 Cancri I appears to be the opposite, a world built from carbon instead of oxygen, where the crushing pressure inside the planet does to that carbon exactly what crushing pressure does to carbon anywhere. It compresses it into the hardest material known to science. Later research complicated the picture. The star itself doesn't have quite enough carbon to fully confirm the diamond hypothesis. The James Webb Space Telescope's 2024 measurements suggest the planet may instead have a volatile atmosphere rich in carbon dioxide, possibly fed by an ocean of magma. But here's what nobody disputes. This is a world of molten rock and crushing pressure, where the building blocks of jewelry may be forming under your feet. If you had feet, and if the ground wasn't 3,800 degrees. 1,200 light-years away, a gas giant nearly the size of Jupiter orbits its star so closely that a full year there takes 26 hours. The star's gravity is so extreme that it has physically deformed the planet. WASP-12b is no longer round. The tidal forces have stretched it into the shape of an egg, or, by some descriptions, a football, distorting its very structure under gravitational stress that no planet in our solar system has ever experienced. And the star isn't just bending the planet, it's consuming it. The intense heat strips material directly off WASP-12b's atmosphere. That stolen material falls into the star, forming a disk of debris around the very thing that's destroying the planet. Researchers calculate this process is removing roughly 189 quadrillion tons of atmosphere every single year. In 2010, the Hubble Space Telescope captured this happening, the first time astronomers had ever directly observed a star actively consuming a planet. The most recent estimates, based on 12 years of observation by the Asiago Observatory in Italy, put a number on how long WASP-12b has left: 3 million years. And there's one more detail that almost nobody mentions. In 2017, Hubble measured how much light WASP-12b reflects: 6%. Astronomers described it as black as asphalt, pitch black, a planet that is dying, being torn into an egg shape, feeding its own atmosphere to the star, killing it, and doing all of it while being almost completely invisible in the dark. This one isn't really a planet at all. It's a corpse. 4,000 light-years away orbits a millisecond pulsar, a neutron star spinning over 10,000 times per minute, the collapsed remnant of a star that exploded in a supernova. And orbiting that pulsar in just over 2 hours is an object about 5 times the size of Earth, but with a density 23 times greater than anything that exists naturally on our planet. Scientists believe this object used to be an entire star, a companion to the pulsar in a binary system. Over millions of years, the pulsar's gravity stripped away 99.9% of that star's original mass, peeling it layer by layer until almost nothing was left but the dense carbon core. Under that crushing remaining pressure, the carbon crystallized. What's left is essentially a diamond half the size of Jupiter, the skeleton of a star, stripped down to the one part of it hard enough to survive the process that killed it. It orbits at a distance only 1.5 times farther than the moon orbits Earth. A diamond the mass of a planet, circling the thing that used to be its twin, and that slowly ate it alive. 30 light-years away orbits a planet that should not be able to exist, according to anything you learned in school about water. Gliese 436b is roughly the size of Neptune. Its surface temperature is close to 980 degrees Fahrenheit, and its surface is covered in ice. This sounds impossible. Ice melts well below 212 degrees. This ice does not. The planet's gravity is so strong that it compresses water into a solid state, not through cold, but through sheer pressure, crushing it into exotic forms of ice that don't naturally exist on Earth. With names like Ice 7 and Ice 10, crystal structures scientists have only otherwise created inside laboratory presses. Physicist Frederick Pont of the University of Geneva put it simply: under enough pressure, water behaves like carbon does inside a diamond planet. It transforms into something denser than anything found at normal pressure. The result is ice that stays solid at temperatures that would vaporize you instantly. Burning ice. And the planet is also losing its atmosphere. The star's radiation is stripping away hydrogen into a comet-like tail trailing behind it, a cloud 50 times larger than the star itself. A world made of solid ice, hot enough to set you on fire, slowly bleeding its atmosphere into space as it orbits. 750 light-years away, in the constellation Draco, sits a Jupiter-sized gas giant with one defining feature: it reflects almost no light at all. In 2011, astronomers using NASA's Kepler telescope measured exactly how much sunlight bounces off Tries 2b, less than 1%. For comparison, Jupiter, bright with reflective ammonia clouds, reflects more than a third of the light that hits it. Coal reflects more light than Tries 2b. Black acrylic paint reflects more light than Tries 2b. Lead researcher David Kipping at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center described it this way: if you could see it up close, it would look like a near-black ball of gas with only a faint glowing red tinge. Scientists still aren't entirely sure why. The planet orbits only 3 million miles from its star, heated past 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, far too hot for the reflective clouds that brighten other gas giants. Its atmosphere likely contains light-absorbing vapors: sodium, potassium, titanium oxide. But researchers admit none of those chemicals fully explain just how dark this world really is. It's a planet you could fly directly toward and never see coming, right up until you hit it. 245 light-years away is a planet that does something no astronomer expected to confirm in their lifetime. It orbits 2 stars at once. Kepler 16. A and Kepler 16b circle each other every 41 days, locked in their own orbital dance. And around both of them, completing one full orbit every 229 days, is a gas giant about the size of Saturn. When NASA announced this in 2011, the comparison was immediate and impossible to avoid. It's a real Tatooine. Industrial Light and Magic's visual effects supervisor, who had spent decades building the fictional double sunset world for Star Wars, said it himself: again and again, the science turns out stranger than the fiction. If you stood on a moon of this planet, you would watch 2 sunsets at 2 different angles, 2 different colors. One star, roughly 2/3 the mass of our sun, the other only a 1/5. This isn't a one-off cosmic accident either. Researchers now believe circumbinary planets like this one may be nearly as common as planets orbiting single stars. About as many stars in the galaxy come in pairs as come alone, which means there could be millions of double sunsets happening across the galaxy right now, on worlds we are only beginning to find. 6 planets. 6 completely different ways for a world to be impossible. A planet made of diamond. A planet being eaten alive, shaped into an egg, invisible in the dark. A planet that is the surviving skeleton of a dead star. A planet covered in ice hot enough to burn you. A planet darker than anything humans have ever manufactured. A planet with 2 sunsets, orbiting 2 suns at once. None of this was imagined by a science fiction writer. It was found light years away through telescopes by people doing math in the dark, watching tiny dips in starlight and working backward to figure out what kind of world could cause a dip exactly that size. Every one of these planets exists right now, exactly as described, while you've been watching this video. The galaxy has been building things stranger than anything we could invent. We just had to learn how to look.